Offer letters 101. First impression for your new employee, plus legal protection for the company. Continuing our Hiring Your First Employee series, we're at the point where you found the perfect candidate, they aced the interview, and now it's time to seal the deal. Instead of winging it and writing up an email with the basic info you know they need, start date, wage, and PTO, I'm going to help you create a document that will protect your company. Here's what I mean by that. An offer letter is not just a formality. It's a legally binding document that lays out the job details in writing. Think of it like a prenup for employment. It sets expectations up front with clear indicators of what the employer is responsible for. And believe it or not, poorly written offer letters have gotten lots of companies into legal hot water, so it's important to understand the basics. It also helps you avoid uncomfortable, "Oh, I thought you meant fill in the blank" conversations later. Trust me, you do not want surprises when it comes to salary or job expectations. I'll start by saying that just like I explained for job descriptions in the last video, offer letters can be incredibly simple, barely covering one page, or extremely complex, defining stock options, proactive severance agreements, and detailed perks of the job spanning 3 pages or more like a contract than a letter. I'm going to again cover a basic, solid foundation for you, and you can expand from there. We'll cover job title and start date, salary and compensation details, employment type, mainly exempt or non-exempt. I like to include some general expectations for employment, benefits and perks, an at-will employment clause, contingencies like background checks, drug tests, and an acceptance signature. Okay, let's start with the job title and start date. In your job posting, you may have referred to the position as something very exciting and dynamic like brand ninja or rockstar manager because you paid attention to the job description versus job posting video I made, and you made it very engaging. But here, you want the official title that will be added to payroll. You'll also want the start date. Pretty basic stuff. Next is one of the most important parts of the offer, and let's face it, the one your candidate is skipping to before reading the rest: comp details. Many employers will just type out the salary here and call it a day, but I would encourage you to take this a bit further. First, let's cover whether it's hourly, non-exempt, or salary exempt typically. If hourly, you'll want to put the rate per hour, and also it's a good idea to add how many hours you're expecting them to work each week, or you could include a schedule here if that is important. If salary, however, you'll want to cover some key language. First, instead of just saying $75,000 per year, you will want to show this in a bi-weekly amount or whatever your pay frequency is, weekly, bi-monthly, monthly. Just make sure it's compliant with federal and state law. So instead of 75K, you should type $2884.62 per bi-weekly payroll as an example. The reason for this is because offer letters can be taken out of context. And I remember a court case where the former employee was actually granted their full year's salary after being terminated mid-year because the offer letter did not stipulate that it was an earn as you work deal. So just take the safe route and add that language. The other language you might want to include is that the salary is intended to cover all hours worked. This is helpful just in case you ever have to defend whether the position was classified as exempt properly. If there's ever an issue, you want to be clear that the salary includes overtime hours. And that's a topic for another video, and I hope it never comes up for you. You may also want to include any other stipulations you have for pay. Maybe you have a starting rate that will increase after a certain period or achievement. Maybe you have a bonus that you need to outline. Those can be tricky, so proceed with caution and work with an HR pro or employment law attorney. Next, it's important to add whether this position will be exempt or non-exempt. And I've covered this topic in a previous video and will likely discuss it again, so keep an eye out on our YouTube channel for more information. The language is pretty straightforward. Either they are non-exempt and eligible for overtime or exempt and ineligible for overtime. I like to include some general expectations for employment, like they will act in the best interest of the company, and any other big culture pieces that are important for your company. It just sets the stage for what they can expect when they work for you. Next is the second section candidates look at upon receipt: benefits. This is where you may want to outline some basic details of your PTO policy, any insurance policies available, and other perks. You will likely refer them to plan documents and employee handbooks for more information, but remember to include a statement that the company reserves the right to modify any benefit so they don't misunderstand that these are permanent, just in case things change for the company in the future. Another really important piece of the offer letter is an at-will employment clause. Nearly all states in the US allow this, and nearly all positions in the US are considered at will. So it's important to note this. Basically, that the employment relationship is not guaranteed for any specified length of time, and you or the employee may terminate the arrangement with or without notice at any time. Trust me, this is important, especially when writing an offer letter, which can be construed as a contract if you're not careful. Next, you will want to cover any contingencies for employment. Often these are background checks, pre-employment drug tests, and things like signing a confidentiality agreement. Finally, you need a signature line for them to accept your offer and return the original to you. Be sure to include another disclaimer that the letter may not be modified except in writing and signed by whomever has that authority in your company, usually the CEO or president. Offer letters can seem so basic, but there's a lot to consider to not only convey an exciting job offer to your new hire, but also to protect the company from lots of legal pitfalls strewn throughout these seemingly harmless documents. Do your research, proofread, get some good advice, and then celebrate your new hire.